I'm native Korean and I lived 90% of my life in Korea, and I've translated over 4 languages into Korean, namely English, German, French, and Dutch. And I've learned over 10 languages, and I like to think I'm a polyglot, but I'm definitely a language nerd. I love learning languages. And one of the most frequently asked questions for me is, how many languages do you speak? And I know that the person that asks the question expects a simple answer like, oh, I speak 4 languages, I speak 5 languages, whatever. And that's the socialized version of the answer. But if I were to give an answer that would actually satisfy my language nerd ego, I would have to give a whole presentation on the relationships I have with each of the languages, because each of them is just so precious and unique. Like, my English is pretty fluent, I guess. I lived in Missouri when I was 10 years old, 11, I don't remember. And I learned most of Britney Spears' song by heart. So I still call Britney Spears my English teacher. And then my next language was Spanish. It was easy because I knew English, but then I stopped for a while, but I can still read like simple text. So do I speak Spanish? I don't know. And then I have a master's degree in German, and I also have a C2. Yeah, I got the certificate. So I guess I'm fluent in German, but then can I have a deep discussion on like quantum physics? I did actually translate a quantum physics book from German into Korean, but still, like, am I really that fluent? I don't know. And French, I have translated like 5 books. I lost count, but 5 books into Korean, but they were like mostly children's books. One was on the atomic bomb, but it was like a graphic novel. So I can read and I can listen to stuff. I watch YouTube. I will not be able to talk to French adolescents because they talk so fast. Like, they shoot out words like a machine gun. So do I speak French? I don't know. And then there's Arabic. I actually spent like a year learning Arabic. I had multiple tutors. I have a lot of Arabic books in my shelf. It was such a fascinating, beautiful language. So I wanted to be fluent in it, but then I got a job. I don't have, time and time for, like additional languages. And I'm also learning Italian on the side, and it's just easier because I know Spanish and French, but do I speak Arabic and Italian? Like, I don't know. But this is probably not something the person wants to hear when they ask me, how many languages do you speak? They were just, expecting like 4 or 5. I totally get that, but just know that next time when you ask a language nerd how many languages they speak, this is what's going through their minds. It's actually really complicated. I mean, you could argue you meant conversational fluency, but okay, what is a conversation? There are conversations of infinite degrees, like infinite shades, colors, and sizes. Like, I can talk about frozen yogurt, or I can talk about ice cream, or I can talk about the weather. I can talk about the history of democracy or the meaning of life. Like, what is a conversation? So a lot of people refer to test scores, which is a pretty reasonable option, right? So for European languages, you have the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, CEFR. So yeah, like I said, I have a C2 in German. And for Japanese, JLPT, and HSK for Chinese, and TOPIK for Korean, etc. So that solves the complexity? No, because there are different modules for each test. There's like speaking, reading, writing, and listening. And I can tell you, my reading in French is probably way better than my French listening or speaking. It just happens to be that way. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are better at speaking but not good at reading. Like, so what is true fluency in a language? And that's not it. Let's say there are 2 people with a B1 in German. There's a thing called a minimum passing score. So for German, it's 60 points. So if you get 60 points, you get B1. And you get 100 points, you get B1. Are they the same? No. I'm sure their levels will be totally different. then can they be categorized as having the same level of fluency? No. For the sake of convenience, I am used to just giving people a number whenever they ask me how many languages I speak, but the number changes every time because I myself don't know how many languages I speak. I wish I could just give them a number like 6 or 7, but I think lately I just tell them, I don't know, like I speak like 4 or 5 languages. It's just part of like small talk, exchanging pleasantries, so they don't attach much meaning to the question. So I also try to adjust my level of nerd depth. Wanted to let you guys know that it's a thing for polyglots or people that love learning languages. Bye.